who's an experientialist and creator of, or co-creator of space. Now, CJ, I'm just going to say your tagline on LinkedIn, I love, so I'm just going to read that out. You're an experientialist at heart. You're passionate about building engaged communities through immersive experience. So I think that positions who you are. Now, how are you?
Wow, that's always a very loaded question these days, but I'm very well. I've definitely kind of, as many people have, kind of probably gone through a little bit of a roller coaster or washing machine or whatever you want to call it. But I think that as time's gone on, I think that it's time to start looking at the silver linings, and they're really kind of popping up in all kinds of random and crazy places. And I think now more than ever, it's time to kind of truly think outside of that box and lean into the unexpected and kind of embrace that whole reset button that seems to have been pressed on the whole world. Yeah,
absolutely. And you're right. I mean, you sort of go, gosh, where did those 3 months go from when it sort of this whole thing started? But I do feel like the more and we've been doing a few of these, the more I'm talking to people, the more we're okay to talk about it now. It's almost like we've had that shift, and now we are ready to move forward. Whereas I think even 4 weeks ago, it was just I can't even.
I know. Well, you know what? One of my greatest strengths and weaknesses has always been that I've worn my heart on my sleeve. So, I find it very difficult to spin something for the sake of spinning something. And I think it is really important to acknowledge that there were dark times, like just with the incredible amount of uncertainty, they're really, and I think it's okay to have that, unfortunately, I wasn't one of those people that, learned a language or baked sourdough bread or got fit in lockdown. I was kind of more embracing the oh my God, I'm just going to pretend I'm retired and slept late and kind of, got my Tiger King on. And I think that, if there's anything to take away from the time that I had to kind of just reset, was this like massive contemplation and rethinking where I am in the world.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. We've heard a lot, I guess, around the term of build back better, and I just wanted to sort of ask you today what that means for you, and certainly in terms of the event and the industry as well.
Yeah. Well, in terms of kind of me and what we meant by saying that, Adam, Holly and I were always kind of very, very keen to bring out the best in what Australia has, to almost like fill that gap between where we are and where we could and should be. So, space last year was all about how do we build a more ambitious Australia. And so, leaning into what's been happening, the reset button has been pressed. And, while we're still kind of slowly working out how we kind of come out of this, I think that there'll be no better time post-COVID to truly look at how we can build a more ambitious Australia, whether that means kind of like tearing things down and truly building them back better, or putting them in a box and saying, well, that was that. How do we move forward from here? And, I think it's really important, like COVID obviously is one of the massive resets, but like, let's not also forget about, the fact that we've also had like tremendous bushfires at the beginning of the year. We're now in that phase of, the Black Lives Matter, which I think, while obviously it's truly kicking off in the US, like I think there's a lot of systemic issues in Australia, which of course we're seeing with these protests and things. So I think that, COVID is almost like one of the three gargantuan issues that Australia and the world have been kind of like forced to do something about over the last kind of like 6 months. I mean, this year,
Absolutely,
God, what a year. And so that's where I think there's really true opportunity, not just to look at like kind of how do we build back better in terms of small business and the response to kind of the health crisis, but it's truly an opportunity to look at everything. And that is, I think, something that is pretty epic, and you have to see the opportunity. And certainly the community that we've built around space, the collective of people that came last year and the people who, were signed up to come this year, have stood by us, thankfully, and certainly a shout out to all my space cadets, because definitely couldn't have got through the last few months without such a huge support of people and saying like, yeah, we'll come whenever the event is, because we see that silver lining and we see the power in unlike minds coming together to truly kind of connect and collaborate and build back better.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would, I've been thinking about it, and it's almost like space preempted the type of thinking we need to have now.
Yeah, we totally did.
Yeah, and that makes it even more important that that the event goes ahead, which I guess is my final question for you, in terms of, obviously it didn't happen this year, but what are your plans? Do you have anything concrete set for 2021?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So we provisionally moved to September, and with the uncertainty, we just didn't feel that we would be able to kind of get the depth of diversity in the community kind of engaged by then. So we've put solid dates in for May next year. So last weekend of May next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of people and the supporters that we have said, what, it's going to be even bigger. Like the conversations are going to be bigger. The energy is going to be bigger, and that slightly scares me because it was pretty good last year. But so we're in the diary, and of course also shout out to our friends and partners in Byron as well. They have they, just like everyone, have really hit things so hard, but they have really supported us, and almost happy to give us keys to the resort for next year. So that's great. And we're hoping that one of the things that I saw happen is like all these events, pivoted to digital, which I thought was incredible. And I did seriously think about, what should we do digitally? But it kind of, for me, I feel that what space is just the power of serendipity, the power and serendipity of human connection. So with no shortage of things happening online, we really took the stance to play our role in that kind of recovery, build back better stage of the crisis.
Yeah.
So when the timing is right, and hopefully that will be September, over what were the provisional dates, we'll be able to host something small, obviously, and obviously taking into consideration all the health protocol, something small in Sydney and Melbourne, kind of in September time.
Excellent. Well, look, I think we'll wrap it up there, just to try and keep within our 3-ish minutes. But thank you so much for making the time to have a chat, and I'm really excited to sort of hear how you guys are moving forward, and putting those dates in the calendar for next May.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, yeah, thank you for your time as well. I'm hoping everyone is safe and well, and the silver linings are coming, no doubt.